coming up. Yo, that was a beautiful ride out. Little choppy because of slight north wind, but we are sitting in 200 feet of water, working our way out to 600 to 800 feet of water. I want to be doing some trolling. We'll get into some real specific rigs and stuff once we catch something, but I really want to get some lines in the water. But trust me, I'll show you exactly what I'm using and how I rig it up a little bit later. But I have a Moldcraft daisy chain I rigged up, just a bunch of chuggers in a row, a Tormentor bird with a Moldcraft wide range. That's going to go way back. And over here is another Moldcraft daisy chain that I rigged up as well. And that's all I'm going to be doing is pulling daisy chains and then that one wide range behind the bird way back. We are in blue water. It finally has come in to about 35 miles and we're in some blue water, which is great. Not any grass and I haven't seen much flying fish, but we'll troll this drop off. These are all Penn Torque 60s. Hollowcore braid backing. I've set them up as 40. I've had them set up as 40-pound stand-up rods, which this is 40-pound mono, a large wind-on coming to my leader, which, like I said, we'll get into more specifics. Let's get these lures out and start fishing, y'all. I want to get the one that's going to be furthest out first, and this one's going to go way back. There's 750 yards of line total between the braid backing and the mono top shot. It's nice using something a little lighter, but that still has plenty of drag for like mahi, wahoo, sailfish, smaller tuna, smaller billfish, etc. But I want that way back. Okay, set that on strike, clicker on, and we're good. Now I'm gonna get these daisy chains out. These are gonna stay pretty short, and then we'll get the last daisy chain out. Pretty easy stuff here. I'm only trolling 3 rods. Now I have my 3 rods out. We're gonna pick up around 6 knots or so. Good thing about trolling just lures without ballyhoo, it allows you to cover some water. If I'm in a specific area like a weed line or a rig, I'll probably be pulling ballyhoo, but when I'm trying to cover some water like today, pulling lures allows you to do that without having to recheck lines all the time. And they still catch plenty of fish. So we're gonna do that, and could be a few minutes, could be hours before we get a bite. But that's fishing, so I'll probably see you when we're hooked up, hopefully. Yo, we just hooked up. Something big too. Something big. I came across a big pod of bottlenose dolphin, and then something hit the Moldcraft. This is awesome. See the dolphin? A lot of bottlenose dolphin. I guess we'll find out what it is. This is awesome. Hopefully it doesn't tangle up into this. Thank you for telling me where the fish are, dolphin. It's staying pretty low, and it took a bunch of line. And this one was already really far back. So there's really no telling. Oh, look at the Atlantic spotted dolphins. How cool. Look at them just chilling right there. That's awesome. Big fish. Hopefully it doesn't tangle up into those. Find out what you are. Pretty cool. Hopefully that screen is clear and it's recording. It's getting close. For some reason I'm shaking. I don't know why. I think hearing that drag go off after trolling for 2.5 hours. I just want to see you, get you in the boat depending on what you are. Staying pretty far down. Pretty far down. Okay, there's my bimini. Here's my wind on. Wahoo? Yes! It's a wahoo, baby! I got it! Yes! Woohoo! Wahoo in the boat! That is awesome! Wow! How awesome is that? Woo! Thank you, bottlenose dolphin. Oh, yo, that's awesome. Look at that wahoo. Wow. On the mold craft. Heck yeah. Hopefully you can share this excitement with me, because this is amazing. Look at that wahoo. Man, phenomenal eating. And that's a good size one too. I'd say over 30 pounds. Big old sharp teeth, great eyesight, and just gorgeous colors. How incredible is that? We're gonna throw them on ice and get to trolling again. How exciting is that? Wow. Man, that's been a long time coming for one. I've caught them before, but it's been a struggle this year. Well, it barely fits in my fish box. There, where we got it. Let me show you exactly what I was using for them. My setup's pretty much rigged as a stand-up combo for offshore fishing, lightweight. You want to get your local tackle shop to rig it up this way, unless you have a machine, so it packs it on good. But this is a Penn Torque 60 Leverdrag 2-speed reel. It has 500 yards of 40-pound Hollowcore backing, which is practically braid that can be spliced. And then it has 250 yards of 40-pound Momoi diamond monofilament. And that's spliced together. It's a 100% splice strength that doesn't lose any strength, and it's very slim. Now I do a bimini twist to a 100-pound wind-on leader, a very short bimini, and then that wind-on leader allows you to leader the fish without worrying about busting 40-pound mono. And then from that wind-on leader, I crimp on a ball-bearing snap swivel. Now this is where, and that's all three of my setups, just like that, identical. These are on 6-foot, 60 to 80-pound line class. It's just some bottom fishing rods that are set up as trolling. They have a roller guide so you can reel in your wind on and swivels without busting your tip. But this is where it gets fun, because you can do anything. But I have a bird. This is a little tormentor bird I rigged up, and then from that snap swivel comes my shorter leader. With that long wind on, you can run a shorter leader from your lure. And I rigged this up with a 130-pound mono leader to a Moldcraft pink and white wide range. And there's a stiff rig right there. Like I said, all this stuff can be looked up online, and everyone does things different, but this is what that wahoo ate right there. And that is incredible. I'm gonna troll again, because when you find one, there's usually more. So let's get on going. There's a frigate bird. Those are always a great sign to see offshore, because they tell you where the fish are. And this is exactly where I caught that wahoo just now. So there's a lot of life right here if you really pay attention, instead of just like, you know, instead of just looking at your screen. Look around you, be observant, look for flyers, grass, any floating objects, frigate birds, dolphins, because they're going to tell you where the fish are out here, because this is their home. There it is, frigate bird. Now we're headed in. Beautiful day out today. I mean, it's always nice being out, you know, but it's better than it was coming out, which is what the forecast said. Really nice. It's like glass right now. Yo, the sun has gone down a little bit more and it's a little bit cooler. But here's the star of the show. This is a wahoo, or an ono, and a very delicious eating fish. They have razor sharp teeth down in there. Great eyesight, and they're extremely fast. So check out how they open their mouth, is like scissors. And see those sharp teeth? They can cut through bait fish like crazy. See that? That's why a lot of times you use wire or a long shank hook when trolling. But let's fillet this fish out. That's a big old wahoo. Not my biggest one, but a stud of a fish right there. Delicious eating. It's actually one of my favorite to eat. We're gonna go through, make a cut. And their meat's really nice. Sought after by a lot of big game fishermen. But let's go through right along their dorsal, just like anything else. See their scales, they're so weird. All the way to where we made that first cut. Take that knife and just run it right along the bone. It's a long fish, so it's a lot to manage. I'm gonna do my best not to miss anything. Okay, now I can go through the bottom and meet that cut. Just a shallow cut, and then we'll meet to the middle of their spine. And then their belly, you don't want to make a very deep cut in their belly so you don't open those guts open, or guts out. But they do have some pin bones and a rib cage you gotta crack through. Hear that? Get through that fish. Big old slab of meat right here. All right, and a lot of this, you know, if I left a little bit on there, I'm gonna take a spoon and get that meat because it's very good at sashimi and making spicy wahoo, kind of like you would spicy tuna. But there's my big wahoo fillet. And you see where I gaffed it, and most of it bled out in the boat. But I'm gonna clean this up off camera a little bit, just trying to stay within YouTube's guidelines, but for educational purposes, this is why I like to show you how I like to clean fish, because it's organic and stuff that you harvest yourself and all natural ingredients. So I wiped the table off and we are going to skin this wahoo. But I need to cut it in some more manageable pieces because that's a lot of meat to skin. It's a pretty easy fish to clean. It's just moving it around and maneuvering around such a large fish. Okay, we wipe this off. But there's a wahoo loin, and we want to get out that red meat. I don't want any of that in our fillet. Some of y'all may like a very strong fishy flavor, and that's what it gives. But if you take it out, you have a nice boneless, skinless, and bloodless fish fillet. This will be perfect for sashimi, and if you look at it, see how it kind of separates? This is what I was talking about. This is just the lower half, and it kind of separates into 4 different parts. You have like a loin here and a loin up there, and it wants to separate. And this is good for, this one right here is good for grilling or slicing real thin, or however you want to. And then this one here, I usually will chop up and make like spicy ono, which is like spicy tuna, if you've ever had it. Oh wow, that's a pretty piece. I mean, they all are, but that loin right here, cut that bloodline out. That's a perfect piece for grilling or however you want to cook it. But check that out. Yeah, we're in the kitchen and it's the next day, and I have beautiful pieces of my wahoo. And typically sushi, sashimi, eating it raw is one of the best ways, but we have plenty of meat. I gave a lot away to some neighbors and friends, and we're actually going to sear this. A very simple sear. It doesn't need a lot. I have a cast iron skillet, some unsalted butter, some garlic cloves, coarse sea salt, and peppercorns. So let's cut this up. This is a very simple way to cook some delicious fish. Wahoo is highly desired because of how well it tastes and the versatility of what you can do with it. We're going to cut these into nice little medallions. You can make them as thick or as thin as you want, but that's what you want right there. A gorgeous wahoo medallion. So you sear it on the outside, and the inside's going to be nice and medium rare. Cook it like one of your favorite steaks. This is one of my favorite ways of eating it. I do, like I said, I mentioned a lot, I do like it mixed up with some spicy sauce and raw and sashimi, but there's nothing like some seared wahoo. We're gonna season it very lightly. Take some coarse sea salt, some freshly cracked black pepper, and then we'll flip and do the same thing on the other side. We're gonna come into our cast iron. Let's get it on some medium-high heat because it's a quick sear. We'll let that start warming up. It shouldn't take long, and then add our butter in there. So now our cast iron is warmed up. Let's let this butter melt. Let's see if our fish is gonna sear. Yep, that's what you want. So just a little bit at a time. And it's just for like a minute or two on each side. The longer you cook a wahoo, the more it'll dry out. Add our butter. Let that start melting. And that's just what we're gonna baste it with. Kind of like you would a steak. Add a few cloves of garlic. You can chop them up if you want, but it's mainly just to enhance the flavor of the butter. Let that melt. We'll move these over to the side. See how little it takes to get a sear on it. I mean, very little time. We'll just start basting the top of it. Okay, I'm gonna flip it. I'm telling you, like, it's literally 1 minute on each side. Ooh, that smells amazing. Now we're gonna continue basting. You can add some more butter in there. And just baste those, get them nice and coated. Very simple. Look at that. It's got some rareness in the middle. You pretty much cook it like you would a tuna. The longer you cook it, pretty much it can't be nasty and it won't be bad, but you just take away from the properties of the fish. So this is done. We're going to kill our heat and serve it on a plate. And look at this. See what I mean by flaky? Look at that fillet, or that piece of loin right there, just will flake apart. And it's a little bit of pink in the middle, seared on the outside. Take some dry parsley flakes, just a little. And there is our seared wahoo. Now we're going to serve it with the side of some homemade spicy jalapeno oil or salsa. It's a hot sauce. It's got a great flavor to it. And you don't need a lot with wahoo, as I try to mention, because it's great on its own. But just a little bit of dipping sauce. See, that one's done about medium. And then there's one that's a little bit pinker in the middle, like that. See, for each person's taste preference, that's what I like right there. But let's just try a piece by itself. Here we go. There's not really any words that can describe that deliciousness of that fish. If you know, you know. It tastes like a deep sea fish. I mean, there's tons of great saltwater and freshwater species out there. But when you start getting into the ones that you don't get to get often because of how far you have to go to catch them, and there's something about the flavor of a blue water, clean saltwater fish, you know what you're eating is a delicacy. There's another bite. Wow. And nothing covered up the flavor of that wahoo. I mean, you get the salt, you get the pepper, but you don't taste each individual thing. That garlic and butter is just there to cook it and add a little bit of essence. Okay, I want to try a piece in this in our hot sauce. This is homemade hot sauce right here out of jalapeno. And there's a nice looking rare piece right there. But here we go, let's dip that in there. It's gonna be a big bite. And here it goes, it's gonna be a lot of chewing. Man, that is money right there. Let me finish chewing. Dang, that was delicious. Wow, especially with that salsa. So we're gonna finish this. This is our lunch right now. And I mean, that came out actually better than I expected. I mean, the bar is pretty much raised high any way you cook a Wahoo, but I love simplicity in dishes. Something that when you get back from fishing, it only takes a little bit. You don't have to do a 10-course meal to enjoy your fresh catch. All of our partners are linked down below along with some promo codes for them. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one. I want to thank the good Lord up above for everything he does for us, especially that delicious tasting Wahoo, and we'll see you later.